Hobby King can relate to Horizon Hobby. As you can see, I really don't like Horizon Hobby. Just kidding. Alright, we're going to talk about the SoloPro motor modification for the Parkzone models. I wasn't planning on cutting this one open, but I nicked the prop anyway. Now this has the SoloPro motor in it right here. This is my Parkzone Micro T28, and I got a Flyzone Albatross spinner and prop. It looks good, but it flies pretty bad. I did not get the I don't really get that much speed off of it. And you can see it does look really scale, but overall, in my mind, I'd rather have it perform well than look well. So what you're going to need is this gear cooler right here. I got this off of eBay. You can get it off of Tower Hobbies, but they don't sell it on Hobby King. You're going to need a 9 Eagles motor, and this is the NE4902002 motor set. And then if you want the same prop as here, you can get this right here. This is the Flyzone Albatross. Comes with 2 props and 3 spinners. Now you could probably work the spinner into working with a different prop, which is most likely what I'm going to try to do right now. I'm going to try to install the GWS 5030s, or you can just go back with the stock one. But what you're going to need, as I said, the gear pooler, and you're also going to need your old motor. So I'm going to show you guys, I ran out of number 11 X-Acto blade, so I'm going to use this real quick here. So just cut through your tape. I didn't tape this up much because I was experimenting with it. So I'm just going to run my knife through here. Just slice that nice and clean. Go to the other side. Okay, now that we got it cut open, unplug my motor. I'm going to show you what the SoloPro motor looks like inside of here. This is my original gearbox, so you can see it is quite dirty. But I got the SoloPro motor in here, and then you need to change the connector to the Parkzone connector. As you can see right here, and I just used hot glue as insulation because it was just too difficult to get heat shrink around there, and it does work. And I did the same thing for the next 2 connections. And then, let's see, on the very end, you know what, I'll just put a close-up picture in the middle right here. Okay, now how you do that, it's your old motor, your old Parkzone motor here, and all you need from this is the plugs. So I'm going to actually do this on my Spitfire, which I have right here. I'll put another video on how to install the 5030 prop. So what you want to do here, I have not cut this guy open yet, so I'm kind of scared to do so. Let's see here. I'm not going to put the 5030 on here because I want the scale looks. Alright, I got my X-Acto knife back. I found an extra blade. Thank you Horizon Hobby for having a poor quality motor in this awful flying airplane, so I can cut it open and show these guys how to do this modification, because your motors are not as high quality as the $4 Hobby King ones, and you sell yours for $12. So I hope if you're watching this video, you either reconsider the prices or give the person 10 motors that buys the kit and 3 decal sheets, because you're going to be cutting through it. So anyway, now that I'm done ranting, you're going to need, as I said, the gear puller. And I'm not going to put the 5030 prop on this. I'm going to go back and put that on my T28. So I'm just running along here, cutting decals. Alright, I got the fuse cut. Oh, nope, I missed the top part here. Alright, now that we got our fuselage cut in half, as you can see, this is very compact in here, and this is going to be kind of annoying to change out, actually, because of the way it's all bunched in here. I might actually have to take the brick out to do this one, but let's hope not. Alright, first thing is you guys know how to take the prop nut off here. So you just want to spin this and loosen it up, and then take your prop off. Actually take your entire shaft off. And be careful not to lose the little nylon bolt that's in there, because you have to tap into your extra. Wow, I just unscrewed the entire prop off of that. That's kind of annoying. Wow, is this another build fault in the Horizon Hobby Micro Spitfire? Are you serious? My gearbox is now locked on there. So what, are we going to have to take the prop off now too? That's really cool. To be honest, as long as I get the prop off, I shouldn't need to take this. Well, actually, no, I will. So, there we go, got it started there. Jesus Christ. Really getting fed up with Horizon Hobby, to be honest. Oh yeah, they have impeccable customer support, but the quality control sucks. There we go. I'm actually going to call them up later tonight and just complain about it and tell them how awful the motor is in this. So now I'm going to go and cut this silicone cloth around the motor here. Then this is where you got to be careful. If you push, gotta push it lightly, and it should slide right out. And then keep pushing it. And I don't know if we're gonna make it here. Nope, we're gonna hit the board, so I'm gonna have to take the brick out. No, I was able to wiggle it out, but just barely. Okay, I'm gonna go and cut the caulk here. Very careful not to cut any wires. Very careful. Just pull that, and just take, yep. And I'm just gonna cut it again here. Unplug my motor and take out the awful motor. Then this is where you're going to need your gear puller, because the gear that comes on the 9 Eagles does not fit the gear on the prop shaft. So I mean, you can use the thing, but I find it's easy enough just to not even worry about putting the little handle thing on this. Pull the gear off. Now we're going to go to the SoloPro motor here. And we're going to pull the gear off it. Now this one's a little bit more difficult because you do have to get it lined up closer. See, you got a little bit sideways there. Once you get it started, there we go. Comes off like a charm. Some guys have issues of, I guess this prop shaft is just a hair bigger, but I find it easy enough. Simply, actually, before I do that, I'm going to plug my hot glue gun in here. My hot glue gun heat up, because this is, I highly recommend you do this. As you can see right here, these wires are very small, and while soldering the connectors on, I have actually ripped them out of there. So what I do, push it over to the side and make sure it's away from the vent hole things, and put a blob of glue just to absorb some of the pull from the wires so you don't hurt them in the process. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do now. My hot glue gun is not hot enough yet, so I'm going to skip forward a few minutes here. Alright, I'm back. My glue gun's hot. Hopefully I don't get any glue on my computer here. So you just want to take a dab of glue, not much, just enough to where it covers up those wires. That's not much at all. And I like to take the burn and push it down a little bit. Hold it there. This is actually not that hot. Pull my finger off. And I got these wires locked down. A lot nicer than before. Alright, the next thing is going to be installing the Parkzone gear, the SoloPro motor. You can just put it on like this, or you can just take a simple X-Acto blade over it and just spin it a few times, just enough to widen out that opening in the hole. And let's go ahead and put it on our SoloPro motor here. This will be a very tight fit. Alright, there we go. Got it on. Depth is fine. Now we're going to move over and I'm going to show you how to solder the Parkzone connector on here. Hey guys, I'm over at my soldering station here and I'm going to show you how to put the Parkzone connector on. So this is where you need your old Parkzone motor. The very high quality one that comes in the Spitfire is going to be used in this application here. So you just want to go, take a pair of wire cutters. You don't need to cut back too far. Actually, I'm just going to cut it off and go right at the beginning here. So I'm going to simply snip this. And then that thing is trash. Trash to begin with, but it's actual trash now. So I'm gonna actually prefer better joint here. I'm just gonna pull these off. Simply work the heat shrink off of the little pins here. I'll show you this in a few seconds once I get this last piece of heat shrink off. And come on. There we go. So this is what you need right there. Tiny little thing. I got a set of helping hands here that are going to help me. No pun intended. And you're going to spread these little prongs out as far apart as you can get it safely without fear of breaking the connector. So as you can see, maybe, yeah, I got it in a V here. I'm going to clip it into my helping hands. And I'm going to take my SoloPro motor, and for the Spitfire, as you can see, the wire was relatively long, so I'm clearly going to need some more wire for my Spitfire. And this comes with these little two connectors like this, which you simply do, pull them apart, and the connector cracks extremely easily, and you're left with two little brass pins here. And what I'm going to use is some HO train decoder wire from Digitrax, and it is high quality multicolored wire here, multi-strand, and this is what I'm going to be using. I used that in my 228 and it worked quite well. So I'm just going to eyeball the amount that I need, clip it, And I'm going to just use yellow because I don't want to waste all the white. And frankly, it doesn't matter. Okay. Now, one of the best things about this wire here is the fact that you can strip it with your fingernails. So I'm going to do that. First try, twist it up. And first I'm going to solder, I'll put the wire on the connector first. So I'm kind of nervous about putting this in the helping hand, so I'm just going to set it like that. Piece of solder. I'm just going to tin the wire here. Make sure you do this. It's a very important step. Doesn't seem to be that important, but you'll know once you do it because it makes it go together a lot easier. Especially with stuff this small, you're going to want it to go together quick and easy. So then go back, just simply tin each of these prongs here. Now this you have to be very careful on. If you hold that on too long, you're going to melt that. If that's melted, you're out of luck. You're going to have to go buy another $12 Parkzone motor. Or just fabricate a plug in the speed control or something. I don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to take this yellow wire here that I pre-tinned. And I'm going to pick a pin here, wrap it around it a few times. Careful not to touch the other side there. You do not want to short on your motor because it will not work and bad things will happen. So this is you have to be very careful doing this. Make sure it's aligned very nicely or you will come into some issues. So I'm just going to sit and melt the solder on that, push it on a little bit more, and here goes some more solder. You want to make sure you get a nice strong joint here because even though you don't have much amperage getting pulled through, it's enough to where you don't want to be. Never use cold solder joints, period, there. Okay. So now I'm going to take the black wire, strip it. You can see it stripped nice and easy just with my fingernails. Twist it up here. Put it in my helping hands, and then we're going to tin this wire. Once again, I probably have my iron on with too high with the heat. You don't really need it that hot when dealing with stuff this small because it heats up really quick. But yeah, I have it set on 500 degrees, which is kind of overkill for this application, but it's fine. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's cold. And now we're going to go and put it on the other prong here. And once again, making sure, being very careful that it does not touch the other one. Because if it does, bad things are going to happen, your motor's not going to work, and I haven't experienced it, but you may fry your brick. Just make sure they're apart. Long story short here. So I'm just going to heat this up. Put a nice little amount of solder on there. Enough to hold it down. It's on there. Looking good. Actually, it looks kind of sloppy. Here, I'll bring it up here so you guys can see it. And I'm going to use my hot glue insulation trick for this right here. And now you're going to want to strip the other ends of the black. In my case, the black and yellow wire, whatever two color wires you'd use. Once you have that, once again, you're going to want to tin it. Now, you can take these little brass pins off, but I used them on my T28. I haven't had an issue. So I'm just going to go ahead and use these anyway. Probably Not the best idea, but it worked for me, so I'm just going to do it again. And you just, oh, whoops, almost forgot to tin these. Tin the black one, because I'll be using that one first. Might as well tin the red one while we're in here. There we go. And we're going to take black wire. Once again, this does not matter which way you put it, as long as, you know, there's one wire going to one side, one wire going to the other plug. Doesn't matter what color wire you use or which way you choose to do it. I just put the black with the black just to try to keep things consistent. Frankly, it doesn't matter, but it's just easier to see which end of the plug goes in to the brick. The only thing you're going to do if you plug it in backwards is you're just going to have the motor turning backwards, so you're not going to hurt anything. And I somehow soldered a little connector here to my helping hands. Yeah, let's get that out of there. That could be an issue. Yeah, it's in there good. How I did that, I will never know, but I did, in fact, solder something to my helping hands. And it's a nice, strong joint, too. I love it. So we're going to heat this up here, and oh, popped off. Okay, good. I'm going to clip this back in here because I just need to go back and clean this up just a bit. Just a hair of wire here flowing onto the other pin, which you do not want, because you'll short out your motor and possibly fry your brick. So just a touch of solder there, and that's nice and secure. And now we're going to strip the yellow wire, or whichever wire you haven't done yet. Twist it up so you don't get all the strands. I'm just going to leave it here. It'll probably drop solder in my lap, but that's fine. And let's see, hit it with some solder. Frankly, it's just the change in the connector that actually takes the time. Everything else is relatively quick. Then you're going to want to twist this around, the other wire here onto the pin, make it nice and tight, set it down, and now you're going to want to obviously solder that together as well. I'm going to use this scrap of solder here. Okay, I just managed to hit my elbow into something twice in about 10 seconds. There, that's done. Now we're going to go back to the table. I'm going to go plug in my hot glue gun, and I'll be back with you guys in a minute. Hey guys, RcairplaneNoob here again, and now I'm going to simply use hot glue as insulation on this. You can use heat shrink if you want. I just find it easier to just simply put a nice bead of hot glue on here. It's a lot quicker. I mean, you're fine to do this on this low amperage. However, don't do this on big models, obviously. You want actual heat shrink. Simply get some on there, clean that up. Alright. Now as this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and run my finger on it a little bit just to clean up the edges. Okay, that looks pretty good. Got all of the joints very well covered. I'm going to set this down for a second and let that dry before we start messing with it. You're pretty much set now as far as setting up the motor. You're going to want to use, obviously, I'm going to put my gearbox here, or my motor I should say, back on my gearbox, and the longer side goes in the propeller. In this case, I got to screw it in here. Is this another poor design by Horizon Hobby? I think I'm feeling it. Okay, here, this side screws in, okay. So the short side goes in the prop. Tighten that up nice. Don't want any slop in there. Okay, by now, your motor should be dry. So, we're going to take the motor, I'll bring this up here so it's easier to see, move it down in here, just kind of got to finagle it into the gearbox there. Once you get it in, push it all the way in. As you can see, it took all of like 2 seconds, it's all the way in, and now you're going to want to be very careful. I'll use a tiny bit of CA for this application. You just want to put a dot between the motor can and the motor mount, just to encourage it to stay in on a hard landing. And make sure you don't get any on the back. That's as far back as you want to go. I'm going to hit it with a squirt of accelerant, so I don't glue my fingers on, putting the prop back in there. Okay, put the lid back on my CA here, and we'll move this up a little bit. Okay, now we got our SoloPro motor in, and we're going to take it and plug it into the brick. So we'll just finagle this in here, flip this around, and if I'm correct, this is most likely going to be wrong here. Let me go look. Go look. Be right back here.